Thursday evening with you, everybody. Chris McDonald with you. So grateful to have everybody on this Thursday night, the 4th day of September, 2025. And we're always grateful to have dear friends with us. I told Tony we had to go for some kind of shock effect, so I'm wearing a Democrat Colombian necktie. Now, for all you mobsters out there and all you killers, y'all will understand that. This is not because of my guest, and I'm wanting to hang myself. So, I'm grateful for Branco tonight. He's going to have to do a new cartoon. And that dumb foolery one you did was awesome. So, we're going to have to up our game this year whenever you get ready to do the next one. You're on the list. Just whatever you want to do, man. Just make it crazy and it'll sell. It's good to see you tonight, man. Tony Branco, everybody. Comicallyincorrect.com. I got his website right. He's falling out of his chair. But it's good to see you, man. It's always a pleasure. I do too. You're one of we've got all our guests that we're grateful for. There's just a few that are in that sort of category that I just look forward to when they come on. You're one of them, and I tell you what, we're grateful for you tonight. I been watching your website. You always make me laugh and make us all think. And we're going to show some of your cartoons tonight. But I noticed the theme. I tell you, buddy, since I've seen you last, this country has just turned violent. I mean, we are seeing uh, a purge of tremendous violence in our nation, Tony, that I did not believe we would see. It's taken Trump to bring the National Guard into D.C., and I'll get your thoughts on that in a minute. But you've got Chicago, that's a war zone, and they are swearing up and down to the world that they're the safest city in America. And 58 are dead. 58 shot this weekend on Labor Day. 8 are dead. L.A. is not far behind. You got Atlanta, Miami, St. Louis. I can name the cities. Baltimore. And then you've got this other issue with the illegal immigration that the Dems are still supporting these rapists. I read a story tonight, Gateway Pundit. There was an illegal alien that basically went after a 9-year-old boy and went on the internet and convinced him to meet, and they raped the boy. And it's these kind of people that the Dems are telling us that they have due process and have rights, and it is the most sickening, disgusting, demonic, and I could use a few other words, but we try to keep this family show. At times, we try to have at least some dignity, some dignity about the McFiles. But it is frustrating to me. And then on top of everything else, and I'll hush after this, the judges today have come back. These activist judges. I cannot believe that there's an attorney general in D.C. that is saying tonight that Trump's National Guard is creating harm to the public. When, Tony, all it's done is stop murders for the last 20 days, man. What harm is it causing? This is the stuff that just drives us out here in the public insane. What says Tony Branco tonight? Well, and that's sort of sick to me that it's a political football to them, and the lives, those 8 lives that lost their life in Chicago this weekend don't matter. And I got to call it out for what it is. You and I both know that the big saying, the big mantra that was on our nation here a few years ago, and Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. And I love one of your cartoons, and I'll just put it up right here. That you basically, you got a Democrat, you got the jackass, and that is the sign of the jackass, the Democrat Party. And they've got, I love it. It says, "What's up with using the military to address crimes in our cities?" President Trump's holding up the sign that says, "Black lives really do matter." And I think it's exposing the lie, Tony, that the Democrats don't give two bit pins about the black lives out there. They don't care about nobody. And I say this tonight with all due respect to the African American community. You have been played by the Democrat Party for 50 years, and it's time for you to wake up. They don't care about you. Go ahead.
the country, undermine the Constitution, the Republic. They use democracy a lot, which is another word for mob rule.
Yeah.
Democracy has no constitutional value, and uh, Trump means it when he says Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, and he feels he has a job to do here to protect Americans. That's what he was elected to do, and the Democrats are getting in his way every step of the way. That goes for almost every Democrat, Newsom, Pritzker. You name it, every one of them. Even when they're trying to get rid of illegal alien criminals, they're trying to stay in their way. They're going down and having margaritas with criminals, Trinity Longway or gang members. And now they're complaining that Trump blew up a boat that was trying to smuggle drugs into our country that is killing our citizens. They're on the wrong side of every issue. They're on the 20% side of every 80-20 issue in this country, and they just keep it up. And I think it's going to hurt them. I hope they keep it up. I don't know how they're going to salvage themselves. They're looking for a little morsel to where they can drive a wedge in, and that's where the Epstein thing comes in.
Yeah.
They didn't care about the Epstein thing for what? The whole time
Whole
that it's
time it was
been.
going on.
No,
Exactly.
they didn't care about it. Now they think they got something there that they can pry in there and get Trump on. I don't think they have anything, but they're going to try to use whatever they can use. They don't care about the people, just about getting rid of Trump and just about gaining more power for themselves, not their people.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. I don't know if you heard today. It's not just the Dems. Rand Paul, who and sorry, folks, with the sound with Tony a while ago. We got it fixed now. He didn't solve any. He didn't solve the Lindbergh baby crisis or tell you anything that would be earth shattering. He was just talking about the Black Lives Matter cartoon.
Mm.
We had your volume down. But anyway, Rand Paul today, of all people, goes out there and tells Newsmax that he don't think that we're the world's policemen. And he didn't think it was a good idea. And I just laughed my head off at that. And I'm thinking, Rand, if the countries of the world are not going to stop the drug dealing and not stop these people from bringing meth, fentanyl, cocaine, barbiturates, and every illegal drug. I saw a report on Breitbart the other day, or somebody was talking about this 200 tons, Tony. Think about this 200 tons of drugs have been shipped into this country over the last decade by the Venezuelan government alone. Not any other nation, one nation. 200 tons have come across America. I would like to tell Rand Paul tonight, if America's not going to be the policeman, who is? Somebody's got to with these idiots. Somebody's going to have to, because you're not dealing with normal people. Somebody's got to be leader. They got to be a leader. And you know something? I got no problem right now with America being the world's policeman. I don't want our troops on the ground anywhere, but I tell you what, you bring your crap into the Caribbean Sea, headed, and he even had the gall today to say that he wasn't sure where these drugs were going. And I wanted to say, do you need me to draw you a map? From Miami to Cuba. They were coming from Cuba to Miami. Rand, where do you think they were going? Disneyland? For God's sake. So it's not just the Dems, it's these freaking rhino stupid Republicans that are saying that's not a good idea. Memo to Rand and memo to the people. It's a good idea that he blew them out of the water.
Absolutely. I don't mind us being the policemen of our own country and protecting our own citizens. And that's
Absolutely.
exactly what Trump's doing. He's not the policeman of the world. In fact, you can see in some of his policies, he's trying not to be. But when it comes to our own hemisphere where they're pumping in drugs that are killing Americans, hundreds of thousands of them. And I think he has every right. It's part of his responsibility to protect us as much as he can and as much as possible. And Rand Paul, if a neighbor, if somebody's trying to break into his house and they've got a gun, and a neighbor next to him comes running over and protects him from the neighbor breaking into his house, he isn't going to say he has no right to stop that guy.
Come on.
And
It's insane.
the logic doesn't make any sense. And I think Rand Paul is always trying to find a way to be relevant. And so many things I agree with him on, but that particular thing he's way off base on that. It's our own hemisphere. He's protecting Americans, and I think he has every right to do it. If they were launching a missile from Venezuela
Come
into
on,
the United States,
come on,
wouldn't the United
come on.
States? What's the difference between launching drugs that are killing millions of Americans or the hundreds of thousands of Americans and then launching a missile into the city of LA? Not much different. It's still killing people, and you need to stop it.
Not much, and you made a great. That's a great analogy because if we felt like they were threatening us with missiles or threatening us with some kind of military force from that country, Tony, Rand Paul, and him and his dad, they got this wild thing that we can make peace with our enemies by not attacking them and not standing up to them. And his dad had this same mentality, and I guess it's a libertarian thing because they're libertarians and they think
Right.
that the world is a kumbaya. And Reagan, peace through strength, and I remind people we live in a world that is tonight. We do not live in this Pollyanna world that we think it should be. And unfortunately, we're dealing with dangerous countries. And it's the same thing with America. We're dealing in cities with these dangerous thugs and these dangerous cartels and these criminals, Tony. And there's really no other way that they're going to respect uh, the force unless we use force. A lot of these punk kids are not going to stop doing the crime. Look, I'll ask you this question. What is your thoughts about the National Guard in D.C.? Look, I'm not a big fan of military troops in cities no more than anybody else is out there, even on the left. I get it. But when you're dealing with situations where the mayors and the governors, like Pritzker and like Johnson, are not going to do anything to protect the citizens and the police force is being hamstrung by these bureaucrats, I'm sorry, you leave the president with no choice. You leave the government with no choice. And he's got to do something or we're going to lose our cities. We're going to have, it's not just going to be 8 every weekend. It's going to be 80 a weekend or 800 a weekend because they're going to
Hmm.
eventually wind up into complete lawlessness. And I think that's what these Dems want. I really believe this is what they want.
Exactly. That is exactly what they want. They want to demoralize and destroy this country to a level to where it's totally disintegrated so that they can rule over the ashes and build it up in this socialist utopia that they're longing for. And the only way they can do is bring the country down to its knees. Now, ask yourself this question. Would Trump have to go into New York City when Giuliani was
No,
the mayor?
no, no,
No, no. So
no.
obviously they're doing something wrong in these cities, and they're all these cities that are having the problems are Democrats running them because they don't care about their people. They coddle, like you said earlier, they coddle criminals, and they just want the thing to keep going the way it is. As they gain more power, they do a big talk about how they're doing this and crime rates down while they're fudging the numbers. So actually, I believe that Trump should go into at least Washington D.C. And I think that because he has a right to, it's a
It's a
federal
federal thing.
area. So, and he needs to protect our lawmakers and the citizens that go to visit D.C. to see all the sites and Trump or Chicago and Philadelphia and all these places need to get their act together. And what DC shows, it is possible with
Yes.
some enforcement. It's possible. Hire more law enforcement. All these Democrats, if they wanted to be on the right side of the issue, would ask Trump for help. Maybe not the National Guard, but a few, some people, some assistants to get everything back in order and hire more policemen. If you have to bring in the National Guard temporarily, fine. They would get more votes from their own people if they did that. And that it just baffles me that
I
they
don't. I don't
that
think
they
that
could.
that. I don't think that enters their mind. And you think of Johnson. And look, I don't know where this. I've heard the experts, the so-called experts on television, argue this back and forth about the constitutionality of it. I know that constitutionally, even in D.C., he's got 30 days before he has to go to Congress to keep the National Guard on the
I
street.
heard he's going to extend it to
Yeah,
November. I
to
don't know how
make
if he is legally
good.
able to,
If
but
he's
I
legally
just
able to,
read that.
and that's fine. He needs to. I guess that the constitutionality of these other cities, I know that that they have to be invited, but I do know that if he feels like these federal facilities are in danger, he has a right to send National Guard to protect the federal buildings there in Chicago. And I think that
Hmm.
and he's so brilliant. This is the genius of Trump. Today, he's not even talking about sending the National Guard. He's telling Johnson, we're going to come with ICE and Tom Homan, and we're going to crack down on your illegals. And we're going to turn your sanctuary city and a state into an ICE haven. It's going to be it's going to be the ICE capital of the world. You think that this winter is going to be cold, Johnson? Wait till we're done with your streets. ICE is going to freeze out every illegal under the sun. Isn't that not just Trump? That's just brilliance. So I'm sure that Johnson and Pritzker are puckering up right now. Their butts are puckering up because they know they're about to experience the Trump train. It's going to come. It's going to come to Chicago, and it ain't going to be pretty when it comes because it's coming in the form of Tom Homan. He don't even need the
Yeah.
National Guard.
No, probably not, but like they say, I like my cities like I like my tea, lots of ice.
Lots of ice. I mean,
But
I got your cartoon down there. I love this. This is today's. In fact, I saw it on X. There were a lot of people sharing it today, and it's got the Democrats saying, "See, crime is down in the blue states," and Trump says, "Yeah, you got the chart upside down. They don't even know what side is up." But have you found it maddening all these lies that they have talked about? Because Johnson's out there. It's almost like Baghdad Bob in Iraq. Oh, we ain't
yeah,
got a crime problem here. We ain't got crime. 58 people were shot. No big deal. Nothing to see here. Ain't that crazy to you?
it is. It's absolutely insane, which goes back to our points earlier that they don't care about the people, they care about their own power. And 58 people being shot, 8 people dead. No, that's not the big deal. It's just the way the Democrats reacted to that Minneapolis shooting, where that church where a couple of kids passed away
Yeah.
and a bunch of kids were shot. One girl is still fighting for her life, and I asked for prayers for her and the families that of the heavy losses. But I mean, it just happened, and you have this Mayor Fry coming out and saying, "Well, it's not the mental illness. It's not. Don't use this to attack transgenders and LGBTQ. We need to do something about these guns." Yet, how with the last of the 9 mass shootings were done by
Transgenders.
transgender?
Exactly
Shouldn't
right.
you at least look at what kind of drugs they're taking, what
Yes.
kind of mental health problems exist? Because I don't care. Molotov cocktails are illegal too, from what I understand, and he could have just as easily thrown 2 or 3 of those through the window. So it's not the gun;
So
it's the
true.
mental health.
So true.
And it has a correlation with transgenderism. And we need to find out what's going on. But the Democrats aren't even interested in that because of their constituency and their power.
Would you agree with what Pam Bondi is suggesting tonight? She is saying that they are going to try to pass a law that will make it illegal for a transgender to own a gun. Are you in agreement with that?
Well, I don't know if I'm totally in agree with it. If they're on any type of drugs, if
Drugs.
they're on
Okay.
any type of um, any kind of mind altering things, hormonal therapy, and all that, we have to find out what the correlation of that is, and then make decisions. Because there's lots of men who dress up in dresses and they don't take any drugs. They still
I'll
have
agree.
the male parts and all that, but they like to put on a wig and dress up and walk around town and pretend they're a woman. I'm not sure that they shouldn't have the right to defend themselves, but if they're on any kind of drugs, hormone therapy or any of that, we have to find out what the correlation is there, and really be careful.
I think it's the wise thing. And again, I'm sort of like you. I'm mixed a little bit because you go down a slippery slope because you start identifying people and saying, well, this group can't own a gun. And
Hmm.
begin the left may get in power next time, and it would give them the green light to say, well, all Christians don't have to have a gun. They could do it reverse.
Well,
And
it wasn't too long ago that um, a veteran had done something. He shot a
yes,
couple of people or
very
whatever,
true.
and the first response out of the mouth of Democrats, maybe we should do background checks and and stop war veterans from having weapons. That came out of the mouths of Democrats.
Yeah, I know.
But it's always different when it's on their constituency. So
Oh, agree. Totally agree there, buddy. Speaking of health, I don't know if you've been watching the hearings today. We do a radio show. One of these days, I'm going to try to get you on the radio network we're on in the afternoons. I know it's airing in the morning. You can do it while you're eating your donut and drinking your coffee with me, and do it by
yeah,
audio.
I drink coffee all day.
You
So
drink coffee all day. That's good. I do want to ask you about RFK Jr. I know that there's a lot of mixed feelings about him, his social views on some of the things. A lot of conservatives don't really buy into that, and I don't agree with his view on abortion. I don't agree with his liberal views on a lot of things. But one thing I have been pleasantly surprised with him about, and I will say this. I don't think there's a bad apple in Trump's cabinet. I just don't think any of them have done a bad job. They've done a good job. Some of them have done a great job. But I admire Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for his courage more than any of them, because he went against a Democrat wave of people that hated his guts. His family hates his guts. He did country over politics, and he has given it to these Dems on that Capitol Hill today. All these pharmaceutical sellouts. It was popcorn worthy to watch him take down Elizabeth Warren, to take down Wyden in Washington. It was popcorn worthy to see him blast Bernie. He blasted White House. He blasted Bennett. They were all trying to question his judgment about this COVID vaccine. And Tony, I don't care what anybody says. Look, I always looked at it as an issue of freedom. You want to take the vax, knock yourself out, go get 10 of them if you want to take them. Chris ain't going to take them. Chris ain't going to, never had the COVID vax, don't plan to take COVID vax, don't plan to take a flu shot, never had in my life. That's my choice.
absolutely.
But the one thing that the government did, they hid the dangers of these vaccines from the public. And that is one thing that nobody can deny, because it's coming out that people are having heart issues and liver issues and all sorts of issues from these shots. And RFK is simply trying to get the truth to the American people. Now, what the American people do with it's their business. Have you ever seen a group of evil you-know-whats that they're upset with him about telling us the truth? It's big money pharma, buddy. Is it not?
Absolutely. All of those people who were contesting Robert Kennedy today were all big pharma recipients of big donations. That's Warren, all of them, everyone that contested it, and that's Republicans and Democrats. And one of the things that stuck out to me when Warren was, talking to him, because they act like they're asking questions, but they won't let him answer.
Exactly.
One of the things she said, "You're stopping people from getting the vaccine." That's not true. He isn't stopping.
No.
He not at all. Anybody can get the vaccine still. And he kept saying that. But because he isn't advocating it, because he's saying he doesn't like the vaccine, because he feels that he yelled at her and he says, "Look, you want me to advocate something that hasn't had any research? You want me to do that? That's irresponsible."
The senior correspondent Mike Tobin, who's got a beat on this every day,
goes right to that
in
point.
Chicago.
So,
I'm listening. Sorry, that got hit there. Go ahead, keep going. Keep going. I'm sorry about that. Keep going.
oh no, I was just I think he did a great job today.
I did too.
I think
And
in spite of what he was trying, what they weren't they didn't want him to speak. They didn't want him to explain anything. They just attacked the Spanish Inquisition or whatever they thought they were doing. He was in a firing squad, and he didn't have any ability really but he did good. In spite of that, he was able to get his points out.
I was like, get him, man, get him. But I think of all his cabinet picks, I've been the most pleased with RFK Jr. for that one reason. And look, I may not agree with a thing he believes morally and thing he believes with these cultural life issues, but I respect him deeply for being brave enough to fight for our health in this nation. And Florida today has basically taken the COVID vaccine off the mandatory. They're no longer requiring children to take vaccines. We've had guests on this show that have warned and warned and warned these things called autism. He brought autism into the discussion today. One of these senators were trying to lie about the facts, and RFK Jr. came armed to that hearing, and he let him have it. He said, this is not right. He said, you're misrepresenting the facts on autism. And Tony, again, I'm with you. He's nowhere saying that the vaccines are not going to be available, but what he's saying is we're not going to force you to take it anymore. We're not going to mandate it. And that's really, I think, what all of us on the right, we were screaming about in 20 and 21. They were forcing us to, people lost their careers, their jobs, their families. People still don't speak to each other to this day because they were convinced these vaccines heal people. And speaking of that, one more quick thing. Somebody was on Bill Maher's show, and Bill Maher was making a big deal last night about the vaccine. And the guys and the Bill Maher said, well, where's the research that the vaccine is so dangerous? And when it all was said and done, the guy looked at Bill Maher and said, you just proved the point that the vaccine did not cure COVID. There was nothing in it that protected you from COVID. Duh. We told everybody that. And I'm not even a doctor.
A lot of top virologists in the country, top virologists were silenced and fired, and they didn't want to hear anything they had. People, the person who invented the mRNA or whatever, I don't know how to pronounce that, but some of the things, he was fired. And let me ask you this, Chris. Have you ever had the measles?
When I was a child.
Yeah, I had the measles. My brother, my sister, everybody at school one time or another had the measles. Now you're forcing people to get the measles shot.
I know.
Oh, what's up with that? I mean, they're acting like it's a disease that's going to kill thousands and thousands of people, and it's just not true. In fact, a lot of people don't have an immunity built up in our society anymore to it, which still, measles is a pretty mild disease to get and then build up your immunity. So, but it just goes to show they're not interested in the health of America. They're interested in defending big pharma, and the amount of money that is poured into big pharma pours into these politicians is unbelievable. So that's why they're fighting so hard, not for the health of the people, but for their own power again. We get right back to, are you concerned about American health? Robert said something to a few of them. He said, you've been here for 20 years. 20 years as our health has declined and declined over the years, and you've not said one word about it.
That's what he told
Why
Biden
not?
Today.
And you're attacking me for trying to figure out what's going on?
No,
it doesn't make any sense.
He told Wyden that to his face because Wyden was questioning the data and all this, and RFK Jr. said, you have been in Congress for 20, 30, 40 years. You've done nothing to help ensure the safety of the American public, so don't be lecturing me about these vaccines. And I appreciate somebody that gives it back to these feckless congressmen. I do. I think it's brilliant. And when he calls them liars to their faces turn red. They know it just is popcorn, soap opera box worthy. And again,
that's why they don't want him to talk. They don't want him to talk.
I didn't see this coming from RFK Jr. Honestly, I did not. I underestimated just how good a health director he'd be. And I know people are calling for his head tonight. But let me go back to the CDC. Speaking of this, you got 1,000 Looney Tunes that are signing this petition to get him fired. And some of these pictures of these people that were fired from the CDC, Tony, they were left-wing Marxists. That was making policy decisions at the Center of Disease Control in my hometown of Atlanta, Georgia tonight, that was determining what to give your kids and what was right and what was wrong. And you had freaking Satanists. Man, this freaky guy with the bald hair, I can't remember his name. Yeah. He looked like something out of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And there's some folks out there that know that movie, but he looked like something out of a horror movie, did he not?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He had tattoos all over.
Tattoos all over.
a lot of it is, I believe, ideologically motivated from some of these people, the bureaucracy and the CDC, and our institutions are just packed full of these nuts. And it's taken, I mean, it's been going on for years and years, 30, 40 years, infiltrating our institutions. They've got our education, they've got almost all of our um, government institutions, and it's going to take more than 4 years, I believe, for Trump to get rid of them, or get them out of there, because all they're going to do is sabotage Trump, and sabotage anybody that thinks the way Trump does, or any kind of mega type of ideology.
Yeah.
So,
By the way, speaking of Trump and Mr. Gavin Newsom, you got a great cartoon. I got it up here. Imitating me is the sincerest form of desperation. I love this. He's got the Make America Democrat Mad. He's claiming that Trump's been sending him these Trump 2028 hats, and I wouldn't doubt if he is. Trump just knows how to troll people. Wake up,
absolutely.
America. Trump is little hands. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Like a parrot. Caution
Uh,
entering commie California. Gavin Newsom he is without a doubt the biggest loser. Do you see him having a prayer in you know where in 28 against anybody?
I don't see it, but I've been surprised before. I remember when Obama, knowing his history, getting his starting his campaign in Bill Ayer's office,
That's true.
hanging around communists. His mentor was a communist from childhood. His family were communist, and I just didn't think he had a chance. But everybody ignored every red flag that was there to get him in there, because they were so excited about having a black president to prove that they weren't racist. Now, so I don't have no prediction skills, but if his opposition, when he's running for president, if they highlight the state of California and the mess that it is, it's the U-Haul capital of the world. They're having a hard time getting U-Hauls back into the state from people leaving. They're having people have to haul, they're paying people to bring the U-Hauls back. And it's just with the fires, not building the fire trails, not letting water pour into the farms, not allowing water to pour in for the fire departments in Southern California. Everything is geared around stupid, illogical, goofy environmental policies. And if he wants to run more power, I hope that whoever runs against him highlights the idiocy of how California has been run over the last few years.
I've got a weird question for you. It has to do with your state and the whole Pacific Northwest, that whole blue block out there. If they remove the illegals, like if they got a straight up fair election in your state
Mhm.
and all the blue states out there, do you believe that the Republicans would overtake the liberals if you remove these illegal voting blocks in these cities? Because I've been told that all those, because you got a blue wall out there on the Pacific, you got a blue wall in the Northeast. I just want to see one election, Tony, just one, where it's straight up fair with no illegal ballots, no mail-in ballots, no shenanigans, and get a true measure of how the American people feel without the cheating. Do you think that
Mhm.
that would change the course of events in Washington, Oregon, and California?
Absolutely. They don't want voter ID. Now, I'll go back to, I don't know how many years, quite a few years ago, when they started this mail-in ballot thing. We had a guy running as a Republican. He won. And then there were like 600 votes off or whatever. So they asked for a recount. Well, voila, they found a few boxes of mail-in ballots somewhere in a closet or in the trunk of a car, and they did another recount, and he won again. So they said we need to do another recount, and they did maybe two, three, four, I can't remember, but everyone added more votes to Dino Rossi's opposition to the point where they kept recounting until he
Yeah,
lost,
he lost.
all because of mail-in ballots. Those mail-in ballots just open up. I know that they have rooms where they have people filling out these ballots and bringing them out as they need them, and also the voter ID issue here in this state. You eliminate that, you eliminate the mail-in ballots. Uh,
And the
you'll
illegals
probably see
voting.
another Republican at
And the
some point. But
illegals
since
voting too, Tony. It's not just the mail-in ballots, it's the illegals. Look, I do
yeah,
not believe an illegal should be voting in this country, and constitutionally, they're not supposed to be. And I
no,
just think if you take the illegals and make them present an ID at the polls, brother, it's going to change the course of the country. And I'm going to tell you this. This is my opinion. I don't think you'd have a Democrat in a janitor's role in this country if that was to happen. Because I'm just being honest with you. Because I just don't think reasonably minded people want to see
yeah,
and people like this McBride character, Rashida Tlaib, Elon Omar, Jasmine Crockett, all these nuts in Congress. I cannot believe that we have outsourced the leadership of this country to these insane Dems. They are insane, Tony. I know the Republicans have
absolutely.
got their problem, but I swear these Dems need an insane asylum. The first people that need to be in these mental hospitals that Trump is calling for, I think he's got a list of people right now in Congress. I'd be glad to submit my list, and I might be in there with him. It might mean there's some folks out there who thinks McDonald might need to be in there with him, so I don't know. But I will tell you what, these Dems are just plain blank crazy, are they not?
Absolutely. You know, the thing is about the polls, I've heard Democrats complaining about he's going to bring in ICE agents to the polls to intimidate voting. Well, the only people that's going to intimidate are the people that shouldn't be voting,
Shouldn't be voting, Tony. That's
right?
exactly right. They just admitted illegals have been voting, haven't they? They just gave themselves up.
Yeah, I think that was
is
Newsom that said that. He wants to bring ICE in, to be at the the polling station, and right away he just gave up what he was talking about. So it's kind of funny.
Speaking of funny, a couple of other things. I'm going to turn to foreign policy with you for about 10 minutes, and we'll get you out of here. Thank you for coming on this Thursday night.
Absolutely.
And taking time away from your family for this old Southern. The Cracker Barrel thing. You got a cartoon here, and I love it, under New York management. Now, they have since backed away from this, but they've got the Bud Light lighter, and it's burning their sign down. And the old man over the sign says they've done Bud lit themselves on fire. Have you not seen a more dumb thing? Even the owner, the original founder of Cracker Barrel, went out there and said, "This is some crazy something." You know, he said, "This is some crazy loons that have destroyed the brand," and they finally caught the message. They caught it before Bud Light did because they backed away from this now. Correct?
Absolutely. This is what happens when you get these woke people that go into these higher education and they come out woke. They're so disconnected from their base, their customers, and all they got buzzing around in their head is how to condition people, how to change people to their way of thinking. And they don't understand that people don't want to change that way of thinking. And a lot of their thinking comes from a communist type of woke ideology that they've been conditioned with by their professors. And then they take it out into the real world and try to implement it. And this is what happened. That's the same thing that happened to Bud Light and many other people, many other corporations that screwed up and had to recount or try to make up for what they did.
I hate to bring this up to you, but I got to ask your opinion. I don't know if you're a football fan. I actually like football. I'm a college football fan. I've sort of I can take or leave the pros because of the money and all the crap that's there. But I think that the NFL is about to follow the path of Cracker Barrel by allowing these male cheerleaders to get on that field in Minnesota. I've never seen something more perverse and more sick in my life than these homosexuals, and I don't know any other way to say it. These men should not be with pom-poms in their hands doing the things they're doing. And the Minnesota Vikings, and I got some dear friends that have got ties to that team, and it is sickening that the league would allow that, and they're going to head the same path down Cracker Barrel's road. I guarantee you, I don't think they understand what they've opened up, but this can that they've opened up is going to lead them to that Bud Light lighter that you got in this cartoon. What's your thoughts on
Yep.
that?
Oh, absolutely. And how fitting is it? Minnesota. I mean, they're
Yeah,
trying to
same
they're trying
thing.
to outdo California.
We're
So
Tim
it's
Walz.
like,
Yeah, we're Tim Walz
uh,
as governor. Yeah.
yeah, these are things that are happening. If it wasn't for people, our learning institutions have conditioned a lot of their students in a bad way as far as uh, trying to, like I said, what they did with Cracker Barrel. They're trying to screw with the and not understanding their base, not understanding their customers, and they're trying to implement this stuff. And I think it's backfiring. We'll see. Also, we'll see what happens with the Vikings, but
Well, I'll put
um,
it like this: Jerry Glanville, the late Jerry Glanville, my favorite all-time coach of the Falcons, to be frank with you, other than Dan Quinn while he was winning. But Glanville had a referee one day make a bad call, and Glanville walked up to him, and he said, "Sir, you're in the NFL." And that referee looked at him and said, "Well, what does that mean?" He said, "That means not for long. If you keep doing this, you're not going to be in this league for long. Not for long." So I want to tell the NFL, I'm going to echo Jerry Glanville, who basically always bought a ticket for Elvis to show up at the game because he believed Elvis would come watch the Falcons. But it's going to be not for long league if they keep this crap up, Tony. It's going to be
yeah,
not for long, and that's another discussion with some football folks. But I'm glad you see that because it's really horrible that you can't bring your kids to a game. You can't, and even baseball, this Pride Night. I think Major League
hmm
Baseball is going down this road. And
yeah,
I took my grandkids to a baseball game the other night. It was so good. We enjoyed ourselves. It was raining. We just had a ball. But I was sitting there thinking, you know, if I'm a parent or a grandparent, and I do not want them exposed to that kind of crap. I just want to go see these ball players play baseball. Keep the woke stuff out of it. Keep the politics
absolutely.
out of it. Tell these athletes, keep your mouth shut. Stop acting like a jack of you know what on Twitter and X. Play the game. That's what fans are paying you to do. Shut up. Otherwise, I know that's a little
Right.
tough, but what's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that, people go to sports to escape the world, to escape what's happening in the news, what's happening at work, what's happening in the streets. They go there to get away from all this stuff. And
Absolutely, they do.
and because of the woke environment and leftist conditioning, they're trying to sneak it in everywhere that people escape, whether it's our movies, even our kids' cartoons. They're trying to get it in there any way they can, and people just don't want to see it. They don't want to
I'm with
see
you, buddy.
the protests, the flags,
No.
all this stuff, the LGBTQ Pride Night crap, and they want to escape from it. That's why they're watching sports. That's my opinion,
No, I'm
anyway.
with you. We're totally in agreement. Final couple of things I want to share with you real quick. We know we hadn't talked in a long time, and the Russia-Ukraine situation has sort of been at the forefront of Israel situation too. But you did a cartoon that caught my attention that I want to share with you tonight. This is a few days ago. Trump was talking to Putin in the cartoon. If you're ready to make a deal, raise your hand, and he holds that up with the cast on it, over 1 million casualties. And do you think that Trump is going to ever get a fair deal worked out with him and Zelensky, or do you think that we've just got two people that want to kill each other and we're going to? Because I don't trust either one of them. I know there's a mixed bag of opinion out there about Putin. I tend to almost dislike him less than I do Zelensky. But then I see him lying and doing the things he's doing, and I'm losing a lot of respect for him right now. I was willing to be a defender of that he was just doing what was right for his country, but I think this has gone beyond that. I think that he is wanting this war, and I think he's benefiting from it, and I think that he don't care that 1 million people have died, no more than Zelensky does.
What a lot of people don't understand is this war goes way back, years. It goes back to where, early on, 20 years ago, when we promised we wouldn't bring NATO to their
to
doorstep.
their doorstep.
And
Exactly.
then it's escalated from there. And we have uh, chemical labs in their country. We've been giving money to Ukraine. We have politicians talking about uh, putting Ukraine into NATO. And this is now I'm not defending Putin whatsoever. I think he's an evil person, and especially he's been hanging out with Xi and
Yes.
Ayatollahs and the North Korean guy. Um, I'm just a cartoonist, and let me just kind of give you my perspective. I'm no different than anybody else that watches the news. I'm just a normal layman type guy that can draw. And what I do is I watch the news, I try to pick out things that really concern me, and I try to put a spotlight on those things. Sometimes I'm off, but most of the time I
Caribbean,
think I'm pretty right on as
11.
far as the way I feel and the way I see the news. And there's more to this Ukraine Russia thing. And but people right away, Russia's attacking Ukraine. Well, there's more to it than that. Half of Ukraine is speaks Russian. Half of Ukraine, almost in Crimea, in there, want to be Russian. So
Right.
how do you deal with like a Vietnam kind of situation as far as us getting involved with it? And I don't know. I don't know if there's a right or wrong here with as far as Russia and Ukraine. I get that they're trying to defend their country, but at the same time, I think it's been exasperated by our politicians uh, a long time ago and proceeding through the years, where we could have stopped it maybe 20 years ago by just saying, "Okay, we promised we wouldn't
It's very
bring
true.
NATO to your doorstep," and chances are Putin would have just left him alone, especially if we, helped him out by defending their country. Now they didn't go into Ukraine when Trump was president, and there's a reason for that.
No, I'm
So
with you, but I think you said that quite well. I just I know that Trump's trying. Look, he has solved,
yeah,
with the help of the Lord, he has solved 7 world conflicts. He's not going to get credit for
absolutely.
that, but he wants to stop this bloodletting in the world. Tony, you got to admire him for that. I mean, I do. I think he's doing everything he can, but this is going to be a tough nut to crack because he's not dealing with two people
Absolutely.
that care about this. And I respect him I've always respected him. But I think this right here, what he's doing, trying to stop these wars, has been his greatest achievement so
Wasn't he
far in
supposed
this
to be the
second term.
warmonger? Wasn't he supposed to be the
Yeah, he was
warmonger?
supposed to
Everybody,
be the
Democrats
warmonger.
said, they gave the Nobel Peace Prize to Obama after being in office, what, 2 weeks? Did nothing. Yes,
And
he's bombed more people,
exactly,
civilians. He's just,
exactly.
just arbitrarily just been bombing his whole 8 years. And then Trump has ended what you said, 7 wars.
Seven
He's
wars,
trying
at
to
least that
end the
many.
Russia-Ukraine conflict. And if anybody can do it, he can, but I don't think the globalists want it done.
The
I
globalists
don't
don't.
think the military industrial complex want it done. So he's not just fighting that front, he's fighting his own front.
Yeah. And he's got the media here in America too. I've got you an idea for a cartoon other than mine. I
Okay.
heard today that Kim Jong Un brought his own personal toilet to the meeting with Putin. So I'll let Tony Branco's mind work on that one this week. And please let me know when you put that up on your website. I don't even want to go there about
Yeah.
that that
Why did
idea.
he bring his own toilet? I would
I
like to
have
know
no
that.
idea, but Kim Jong Un, the North Korean dictator, who is what is he called, little man, or what is Trump's nickname for him?
Little Rocket Man, I
Little
think it
Rocket
was.
Man. Rocket Man brought his own toilet to the meetings with Z and Putin, and there was another leader they had. But yeah, he brought his own poo-poo toilet today. So I found that so hilarious, and I thought about Branco's going to be on tonight, so I'll run that by him. Maybe that'll give him some inspiration for a great award-winning cartoon, just like Tony Branco is an award-winning cartoonist, and he will wow us with that. But it is so good to have you tonight. I'm going to let you go
Thank
here in a
you.
minute. I do want to ask you about Israel real quick. And again, I'm going to have you back on in a month, maybe even sooner, when we can get it worked out. And but I do want to ask you about the situation in the Middle East tonight. Again, we hadn't talked in a while this summer. There's been such a continuation of this anti-hate rhetoric, and look, me and you are on in the same realm as these other social media folks. We've got our programs. You've got yours. I've got mine. And these things go out to thousands, millions of people every night. We've got the potential to reach a large audience with the click of a button, and what we say matters. And you've got people like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. You've got this in Congress. You've got this Islamic, Jew-hating block of senators and representatives in Congress, in our government, sadly, that just hate Israel. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that. And I don't see an end to it. I think it's going to get more and more heated. I just hope people are wise enough to see through it. And it's shocking to me that some of the voices that are acting like this are doing it. And I'm just going to get your opinion about that, because I didn't see a lot of this coming from these influencers. They got a lot of influence, Tony, and they're not using it for good. They're using it to destroy our only ally, but it's a biblical thing. It's a spiritual thing. And this is not just Israel talk. It's Jew-hating anti-Semitism, right?
It's morphed into that. It's morphed. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's morphed into Jew hating. It started out, we don't hate Jews. We just hate Israel and what they're doing. No, now it's morphed into Jews hating Jews, just pretty much any Jew. I mean, Jews are being accosted here in this country. But the thing is that people like some of these podcasters are missing big chunks of their argument. They're missing the fact that they don't hardly ever mention January or October 7th. Exactly. They don't mention the thousands of rockets that have been thrown at Israel. Thank God they have the dome that protects them to some degree. They don't talk about how Iran has been sponsoring terrorism. Now, Gaza Strip, when the Jews, in the effort to find peace, gave them the Gaza Strip, they took all of the Israeli people out of there and handed them a plush piece of land with houses and factories and orchards and just a beautiful chunk of land. And then the UN and the United States and everybody just gave them millions and I think billions of dollars to help them foster that chunk of land. They didn't do one damn thing with it. What they did, they did. What they did is they built tunnels and bought rockets from Iran, and somehow that just Israel is the country. They're not going anywhere. So why don't you find a peaceful solution? They don't want a peaceful solution. They don't want one at all. All they want is to kill Jews from the river to the sea. That's it. And how do you? I came up with a cartoon a while back ago that had a Hamas guy holding a child with a explosive vest on the kid, and you had one of the dignitaries asking Netanyahu, John Kerry, at this negotiation table, and the Hamas guy's holding "kill all Jews," and Kerry's asking Netanyahu, he said, "Well, can you at least meet him halfway in this negotiation?" And that cartoon went viral. It went over, I guess, Israel, millions and millions of people saw it. But that's about where we're at with this. So I don't know what the solution is for Israel other than to just do what they're doing. I don't like kids being killed. I think that's been exaggerated. I think they stage a lot of that stuff. But I don't like any kids being killed. And I don't think that Israel is deliberately doing it, although they try to make it look like they are. But when you're launching rockets from schools and hospitals,
you can't help it, Tom. They're just defending themselves. They're just defending they're defending themselves. I mean, when you get down to it, that's exactly what they're doing. And
you said enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Exactly. Speaking of that, I want to just run this comment by. I was looking for your cartoon. I'll find it and show it to the people. But because I'd like to share that myself on our own social media page too. But when Matt Gaetz said, you sort of alluded to something a while ago, and I'll let you go after this. He said this
Mhm.
yesterday. The quote was basically, he said, I don't hate Jews. I'm just not fond of the Israeli government. How do you separate the two? You can't.
I
You
don't
can't
think you
separate
can
the two.
because I think the Israeli government is based on trying to protect their people.
Thank you.
Um, that's it. I mean, that's a kind of a skirting around the issue a little bit. Who would do anything different? There's some people in the Israeli government that don't think that Netanyahu is doing enough, and there's some that think he's doing too much. So again, Hamas is at fault, Iran's at fault, and they do this every time. Every time Hamas or Hezbollah attacks Israel, Israel responds to it. They ultimately, because of their response, are the ones that are the bad guys. I don't know how that plays out. In no world I know that's reasonable. If somebody punches me in the face and I defend myself, I'm not the bad guy, So,
That's right.
uh,
That's right.
you know,
Well, it's a terrible situation over there, and there's got to be some moral clarity in this country, and it's just the lack of the moral clarity in our people is deafening. It
yeah.
really is. But it's been such a pleasure. Now I know there's we do some funny things here. I've got one that says elementary, my dear Watson. I've got another one that says, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? So I'm just going to give you inspiration for the new McDonald 2025 Tony Branco edition, new cartoon, and I'll be waiting for that one. And I will put that as the profile picture on the McFiles when I get it. I'm going to give you a few minutes to wrap us up. It's been a pleasure to have you tonight, man. I've really enjoyed this. It's been good stuff tonight.
I have too. I always enjoy it. I'm more of a drawer than I am a talker,
Me
but
too. I
I do
get it.
have an
Yeah.
opinion.
You do a good job doing both. Final thoughts. Final thoughts.
No, just I think we should just, I'll end it with, I think we should trust Trump. He doesn't show all of his cards, and sometimes people think, well, he's not doing this and he's not doing, but just give it some time. He hasn't even been in office a year. What? How many
That's
months?
right.
8 months.
8 months, if
So,
that. Yeah.
and look how much he has accomplished in that 8 months, more than what I think Obama did in 8 years. Only Obama, what he did was
Destroy
lean
the
more to
country.
destroying America than to improve it. The economy, the securing the border, crime. The list is long of what he's accomplished just in 8 months. So we have to be, I think, patient a little bit and not, we're getting used to things being done is what it is. We had 4 years of Biden where he did nothing but go to the beach. We got a guy that's actually hands-on doing it. If you ask any of his people that work with him, they're constantly saying that he calls me at 2 in the morning. He calls me at 4 in the morning to talk about things. I don't know when this guy sleeps. So he's actively trying to fix problems, and we just need to let him do it.
Yeah. Speaking of one quick thing, I read tonight that the insiders are saying he never looked at those pardons, that he never read one of those pardons he issued. Do you think there's a hope that there's going to be reversed? Do you think that a lot of his actions may be reversed? As we wrap this up real quick.
Um, I don't know. It's, it's a funny thing. I don't know what the legalities there. I don't know how things can be displayed or brought out constitutionally. Um, I don't think they should be. I think that if he wasn't there or cognizant of those signatures, they shouldn't stand. And I think
Totally
some of
agree.
them were actually illegal just because of, for instance, a lot of them were done and they hadn't been charged with anything. So how does that work?
I
They
don't know.
haven't been accused of anything. They haven't been charged with anything, but they just willy-nilly, arbitrarily just threw out a bunch of pardons to anybody that was associated with Biden. I don't know what I'm not a lawyer, so I can't, but there doesn't seem right.
I'm with you there, buddy. Buddy, it has been a deep pleasure tonight, and looking forward to the next time. And if you find that cartoon, let me know. I'd like to share that about
I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
Send it to me. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Listen, I appreciate you. ComicallyIncorrect.com. He's got a great book, folks, and I encourage you to get that cartoon book he's got on his website. There's a lot of good stuff on there. He's going to make you laugh, think, and somebody asked, did you use Hakeem Jeffries as your inspiration for the jackass? No, that's been the Democrats' symbol long before Hakeem Jeffries came along, so I'll answer that one for him. But, buddy, thank you so much for being with me tonight, and I'm going to let you go now and say goodnight to these people. Bless you, friend. Tony Branco, everybody. Put some fire in that house. I'll be in touch soon. God bless, Tony.
You guys take care.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good deal. Tony Branco, and what a good guy right there. I am so proud of him. He's my dear friend. He really is. We hope you enjoyed him tonight. We're not going to keep you long at all tonight. In fact, I'm going to give you 5 minutes max. You got a question, a comment, I'll read a few of them. Jay, your question was, if the mRNA shot not considered a vaccine until they changed the definition in 2020? That's a good question. I'll have to get somebody that knows about that. I'm not sure about that. That seems right, but I don't want to say for sure. It wouldn't surprise me if they did. They were trying to kill us all with it, to be honest with you. And it's a good question, actually. It really is a good question. Peggy, you said follow the money. It's not about the health. That's a given. That is a given. And Dennis says, I have to wonder how Rocket Man flushed his own toilet. Dennis, that's an excellent question. I don't know. But I got to play just one video tonight. Just one video before I let you go. This is Jesse Waters talking about Trump's newfound hobby of blowing cartel people out of the water in the Caribbean. This is just a reminder. We tried to play the kids getting shot last night or Tuesday night. Made some folks uncomfortable. Well, if that made you uncomfortable, let this make you uncomfortable, because this is a message to the cartels out there and the drug dealers and the fentanyl pushers from Venezuela, and you, Maduro, if you're listening to the McFiles tonight. I know you're not, but just in case, you've got an interpreter. And let me remind you, you keep sending your boats into our waters. This is what's going to happen to you.
Fox News alert. Trump just went for the kill shot. The U.S. military successfully carried out a precision strike in the Caribbean. 11 Trinidad terrorists became shark bait. The cocaine speedboat obliterated. The sharks having a fiesta. And Venezuela's on notice.
We just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And we just, these came out of Venezuela and coming out very heavily from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela.
Cartels are moving narcotics into the country by the boatload. Over the weekend, there was a big show of force right off the coast of South America. 7 warships, 4,500 Marines, and a nuclear submarine. But the cartels have come a long way. They're carrying 50 caliber machine guns, stuff you see in Ukraine. They're even dropping pesticide-laced bombs from drones. They can make an IED or explosives out of anything: plastic bottles, drain pipes, fire extinguishers. Rubio's on a search and destroy tour. First stop, Mexico. And they owe us. They never helped with the wall. And instead of fighting drug lords, they're brawling over how to stiff Uncle Sam. Nicolas Maduro, Trump's designated him the dictator of a narco state. He's now Venezuela's most wanted man. Bondi put a $50 million bounty on his head. Maduro's generals, very bad hombres, are accused of colluding with the cartels, a drug empire that turned Venezuela into a cocaine superhighway. The DEA says 200 tons of coke passed through Venezuela.
Let me remind you, folks, a ton is 2,000 pounds. Multiply 200 by 200. That's how many pounds that have been supplied to this demonic government
each year. Then it gets shipped to the States and into cities, New York, Miami,
that's just
Chicago.
One country.
Some of it's laced with fentanyl. But Rubio says no mas.
Will you act on Venezuelan soil against the Maduro regime?
Well, this is a counter-drug operation. We're going to take on drug cartels wherever they are and wherever they're operating against the interests of the United States.
El Presidente says, bring it on.
Trump, you have to be careful because Marco Rubio wants you to stain your hands with blood. With a terrible war against South America and the Caribbean, because this would be all-out war in the continent.
I hope he means that, because Mr. Maduro, you have declared war on us by sending 200 tons of drugs to this country. You better be glad Trump's got a little patience, because I'll be flying a freaking American flag in Caracas tonight, because there is a war. And I wouldn't be calling the UN up and getting permission to do it either. And I know that's why McDonald's not president tonight. But you have been the one that have shed blood. The countless thousands of people that have lost their life to these illegal drugs. The broken-hearted parents, the broken-hearted brothers, sisters, mothers, daughters, sons, fathers. You have shed blood. And because you have enjoyed blood, blood will pursue you. And I mean that. You better be glad I ain't president. That's all I got to say about that tonight. You better be glad I'm not president. You better be glad I'm not president. Anyway, Carol Smith were some CDC employees, former employees of Big Pharma. Carol, they may have been. I don't doubt they were. I'm sure they had ties and hands. That should be a good investigation. I know that. That'd be a good investigation. That would be a good investigation. And folks, we got a McFiles Thursday. Good show with Tony. I don't want to ruin it by my ranting and raving tonight. I'm going to let you go. And we may be back on tomorrow night. It's likely we will, depending on the weekend. If we are on tomorrow night, we'll get James Akers on here. We'll do a little bit more news. We'll play the videos tomorrow night of RFK Jr.'s beat down to the Dems. He may be up there on Congress again tomorrow. If some of that stuff was popcorn worthy now. I'm telling you, it was popcorn worthy. And we'll get you to view that tomorrow night and so forth. Did you enjoy the show tonight with Tony Branco? I tell you what, he's a good guy, isn't he? He is absolutely a great, great guy. And we enjoyed this with him tonight. He did a wonderful job. I'm just checking the headlines to make sure we had nothing Armageddon happen. Since we came on the air tonight, it looks like it's just typical stuff. But anyway, we hope that you have enjoyed the show. If you have, put some fire in that house. I will see you back here in the morning on the Faith Side, the Bible study, back here tomorrow night on the McFiles News and Faith Network. Tomorrow night, the Lord willing. Now, we may or may not be. If we're not, we'll let you know. We'll definitely be back here Monday night. And we've been enjoying the summer, and summer is over, and we're about to get back to full-blown steam ahead. We've got a lot of great guests coming next week. We've got Marcia Montenegro with us next Wednesday night. She was supposed to be with us last night, but we got our dates mixed up. But we got some other guests coming, and Eric Karen should be back with us. He's got a big conference coming up at the end of the month on trafficking. And we've got a dear friend of Orlando Rodriguez who'll be with us, and she's running for Congress out in Texas. We've got a couple that the wife was arrested at J6. We're going to be talking to them. And we're working on some other people, and some names you know, some names you don't know. We hope they can come and let you know what's going on with the nation and in their neck of the woods. I love you. I appreciate you all for being with us tonight. You know, as I say often, as you get older, when you're young, you take things for granted. As you get older, you don't take things for granted as much because things happen and people come and go. But I want to tell you, we've never taken you for granted that are here with us every night, and we never will. And we want to thank you for being part of a McFiles Thursday night with the one and only, the award-winning cartoonist Tony Branco. He did an outstanding job tonight. Always love him when he comes on. And it is...
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson. I can't wait for the 2025 Branco version of McDonald. That would be award-winning. That is going to be award-winning. So,
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Just saying. Just saying. All righty. Listen, I'll let you go. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed out there. And take care of yourselves. Be safe. And put some fire in that house again for Tony Branco. We do it again tomorrow, especially in the morning, for sure, on the face side. Until then, McDonald out on a Thursday.